National Review reported that Joe Manchin said that reconciliation is dead on arrival if it doesn't include the Hyde Amendment. The Cradle reported that the 7th Iranian fuel convoy entered Lebanon. Irish Central reported that an American student found a 12th century Irish brooch on a beach in Galway. The Week reported that Boris Johnson plans to revive imperial measurements. He's clearly nostalgic. Twigtown reported that exquisitely preserved cells found of a 125 million year old dinosaur. First Post reported that a drunk Turkish man who was reported missing participated in his own search operation. Reuters reported that US officials met Native American leaders to meet on returning lands. A bit of initial success for the land back movement. The Journal reported that 2 men in Athlone were compensated for their unlawful arrests by Free State guards. Yeah, but they're a legitimate community-based police force. Aye. The Belfast Telegraph reported that an orange march in Kilcoole was banned. Well, like broken clocks, the Parades Commission can be right twice a day. Belfast Live reported that Councillor Nathan Anderson quit the DUP over the DUP not making the pro-life position a red line alongside the protocol. And that's called balls and strikes. He was right to do so. The BBC reported that Jeffrey Donaldson claimed that the DUP has turned a corner on its troubles. I think that's bovine excrement. The Smithsonian reported that a new DNA analysis adds further evidence that Etruscans were indigenous to Tuscany, as many of us always thought. iNews reported that Theresa May claims that Brexit is undermining the Union. Well, that's a good thing if it's true, and it shows provisional Sinn Féin's hypocrisy as they opposed Brexit, yet they claim that they want to get rid of the union with Britain and bring about a united Ireland, yet they opposed Brexit bitterly, despite prior to Brexit being the most Eurosceptic party in Ireland. It doesn't add up. The Canary reported that there was a protest in Downing Street against cutting universal credit for disabled people. Like, seriously, what kind of monster picks on the weakest disabled people by reducing or cutting completely their social welfare? What kind of monstrous bully does that? The BBC reported that Britain would rather negotiate with the European Union than trigger Article 16. RTE reported that Britain can't wait forever for the European Union's response on the protocol. Red Illuminati on Twitter compared the Rothschild and Company's services in India to the East India Company. He is correct to do so. The Financial Times reported that Trump has tightened his grip on the GOP ahead of 2024. If Donald Trump runs, he's going to win the Republican primary at the very least. The Irish Independent reported that trade unions say that retail staff should get a pandemic reward from the Free State, and they're entirely correct to make that assertion. The Canada Files reported that Britain and Canada are militarily provoking Russia with drills off Russia's east coast just above Alaska there. It's disgusting that they can get away with provoking a nuclear power without being held to account. Reuters reported that Boris Johnson stated that there will be no more uncontrolled immigration. He says it, but I would wait for actions rather than mere words. Live Action reported that the University of Nottingham reversed course to recognise a pro-life priest as a chaplain. They were right to reverse their course of action. They were wrong to take that initial course of action against recognition. The Irish News reported that a court heard that there was no lawful basis for Dennis Hutchins to kill John Pat Coynan, a disabled man. Yet Boris Johnson wants an amnesty for British state terrorists who killed innocent disabled people. Again, monstrous bullies and cards. The Irish News reported that Muhammad Ali, no relation to Cassius Clay, just a namesake, had to change the logo of the Maiden Heaven ice cream shop in Derry, as similarities between it and the Royal Parachute Regiment logo have been pointed out by victims of said regiment. It was even the same shade of maroon, for goodness sake. The Belfast Telegraph reported that 3 men were lifted in Derry in connection with the killing of Lyra McKay. Anything to lift Republicans off the street. The Irish News reported that 60% of nurses in Belfast were vaccinated during the summer. That means 40% weren't. And I don't recall any mass COVID outbreaks in the hospitals. BBC, Common Dreams and The Guardian all reported on the Pandora Papers. The Pandora Papers revealed that $32 trillion is hidden by 400 officials in over 29,000 offshore accounts. The level of tax evasion and tax evasion is mind-blowing. It's gargantuan. My Modern Met reported that geologists found an agate with the Cookie Monster's face inside when it was split in half. A strange scientific story there. Reuters reported that Britain is going cold turkey to kick a 25-year cheap imported labour habit. Well, it's good that plutocrats are finally admitting that mass immigration was for the purpose of social economic dumping to undercut the working class's wages. The Middle East Monitor reported that Algeria's navy chased an Israeli submarine out of international waters, and credit to the Algerian Navy in that case. Military Watch and the Associated Press reported that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea tested the S-400 like anti-aircraft missile for the fourth time. Well, quite frankly, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is entitled to defend itself. The BBC reported that 40 RUC officers are being investigated over sex complaints. But these people aren't criminals and terrorists. They're upstanding officers in a community-based police force that it's legitimate. Well, according to professional Sinn Féin, that's the case, but we all know that's not true at all. It's bovine excrement. The Financial Times reported that Rishi Sunak pledged £500 million on a jobs programme for British workers. Again, the Tories talk a fine game, but when it comes to actions speaking louder than words, they are often found wanting. Reuters reported that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea and the Republic of Korea reopened diplomatic connections. And again, it's better that Korea isn't at war with itself or anyone else for that matter. The Iona Institute, a proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America's study, found that national religiosity eases the psychological burden of poverty. This proves Karl Marx correct when he said, "Religion is the opiate of the masses." Marx was a Lutheran, and opium was the best painkiller available when the manifesto was written by Marx and Engels. ABC reported on a study by Johns Hopkins University that found that there have been more United States COVID deaths this year than during the entirety of 2020. The Week reported that ISIS called the Taliban a stooge of the United States, without the slightest hint of irony. The New York Times reported that China is bringing business to heel. Executives are in jail, tech companies are regulated, and the biggest developer is teetering. Life News reported that the Texas Supreme Court upheld the Heartbeat Act. Truthout reported that Bernie Sanders asked Joe Manchin if seniors having teeth is an entitlement. The Irish Independent reported that provisional Sinn Féin say they will raise taxes on those earning over €100,000 a year. Actions speak louder than words again. Grover Furr pointed out that the Jacobin lied, as people deported from the USSR to the Third Reich were not communists and were not persecuted when they arrived in the Third Reich. They couldn't have been the communists Stalin handed over to Hitler if Hitler and the German Workers' Party were allowing them to live freely when they got to the Third Reich's territory. Seems odd. Belfast Telegraph reported that the economist Dr. Adam S. Posen says Irish unity is close, and it is between 5 and 10 years down the road. And the Irish News also reported that story. Belfast Live reported that Níoscail na Seolta was relocated to the Belmont Road after loyalist thugs forced it to relocate from Braniel. Live Action reported that Nazareth in Texas is the 39th city in the United States to ban abortion. Live Action reported that Representative Cori Bush admitted that her abortion was the darkest period of her life. Press TV reported that Algerian activists are organising a boycott of France in response to Macron saying Algeria is holding a grudge against France. Just a reminder, France occupied Algeria. Algeria, interesting point, first nation to leave the European Union. RTE reported that Justice Mark Horner is seeking a new inquiry into the Omagh tragedy. The Irish Times reported that 68% of Irish people support Michael D. Higgins' decision to decline the invitation to the six-county state centenary. The Irish News reported that Jeffrey Donaldson welcomed the European Union's change in tone on the protocol.